a large percentage of our time is spent at the workplace. So it's imperative that the relationships that we have at the workplace are supportive, motivate us to go in and day out, and we're able to resolve conflicts that come up with our colleagues, with our peers, in a way that we're able to move forward together as a team. Join me in this activity where we play with stickers, with art, to create and get a sense of what those relationships for you at work are like. We spend about 80% of our time, if not more, at the workplace. It's important that we understand the dynamics within that space, the relationships we build and hold, and what we feel about them and us in relation to them. What we need for this activity is an A3 sheet or any size sheet really that you'd like to work with or have access to. A range of stickers if you can dig into them. I've picked some animals and some interesting fun transport stickers. You can really go with whatever you'd like. If you don't have stickers, another way to do it is draw symbolic representations as we go along. So I'm going to start with asking everyone here to join me in putting down a representative map of who you see as your team in your organization. What does that structure look like or feel like to you? I'm going to start with the person who hired me, who also happens to be my boss. And I would think a camel would be a good fit. Because I can almost imagine the trudging through an open desert, constantly storing information, surviving long days, long nights, and working really, really incredibly hard, with some perhaps humps and struggles along the way. Let me explore who goes next. This would be someone, again, who is my direct supervisor, but also a friend who I perhaps feel incredibly comfortable with. And there's another who I'm struggling to rip from this piece of paper. And this makes our trifecta. The worldly wise owl who's always reading, wanting to travel. And I think the diversity this center brings to me. And I'm going to find myself, I think, and see where I go. Okay, this is who I'd like to be. I don't think this is me yet, but I think I'm getting there. I think now I'm in a space where I'm happy and centered around these spaces, but I like to float away on my own, and I hope I can do a little more of this and maybe float through this dimension. This is my art therapy team, the people I work very closely with. And I think I found the perfect animals to represent us. As you pick your stickers, I want you to think of why and what these people bring to the team, how they make you feel, where they are in relation to you. So, and I think this is who I'd actually feel like versus want to be. I think my impatience with pulling these stickers out is also an example or a reference point to who I am as a person. It's important, and this is why I ask you to also reflect on your process as you go along. How does it feel to use these different materials? How exciting, how frustrating. Breathe and take your time as you go along. So I would pick many others to go along the different part to represent the large team I have, but these are perhaps the people that have the most impact on me on my everyday. I then urge you to pick up sketch pens and see if you can build connections. How does that work for you? If you were to connect yourself to the different people you work with, what would those lines look like? So, for example, let's say I have a difficult relationship with the camel. Maybe I draw a broken line. If it's argumentative, maybe I draw a stretchy line. If there's a comfortable connection, maybe I draw my own representation of what that looks like. But it's not a straight line, it's a twisted, wired line. And maybe this would be a more straight line for me. Right? What do you think? And then ask you to pick a different color and try and put down what you think these people feel about you. If they were to draw a line to you, what would that line look like? So would it be the same lines back, or would it be a different line coming back to you? What do you think the other's representation of their communication to you would look like? I think this is an interesting reflection to understand how you feel about your team, how you see the connections, where you see the gaps, what you'd like to do to fill those gaps. So if I find I have a broken connection or a gap, or I realize I'm not with my team enough or I'm separated, I need to figure out what I can do perhaps to then actually get to a space that I want to be in and build those relationships at the workplace. So this is an interesting example of the here and now of what I feel about my team, and I would be really interested to see what you do with yours. I hope you got a chance to explore your camel, your owl, and the relationships you have with them, and perhaps a moment to reflect on what you'd like to change, any stickers you'd like to add, remove, alter, would be an interesting way forward.